Hi, I'm Marcus, I'm 29, and last Friday I wired $18,742 to erase my girlfriend's debt, and by midnight I realized I might have just paid for something I was never supposed to see. The transfer confirmation email was still sitting unread in my inbox when her phone lit up. We were on my couch. She was half curled into me, legs tucked under her, wearing my old college hoodie. We'd ordered Thai, opened a bottle of cheap champagne, and she kept calling me her miracle. Every time she said it, I felt 10 feet tall. She'd been drowning in credit card debt since before we met. Medical bills, some leftover tuition, interest stacking like bricks. I'd watched it weigh on her for a year and a half. Watched her panic when unknown numbers called. Watched her pretend she wasn't stressed. So when my bonus hit last month, I didn't hesitate. I told her I wanted a future with her. That this was what partners do. We solve things together. She cried when I told her. Full body shaking, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She kept saying no one had ever shown up for her like that. I believed her. The notification buzzed again. She shifted slightly, trying to angle the screen away from me without making it obvious. But I saw enough. A name. Ryan. I didn't think much of it at first. I knew about Ryan. The ex who never really grew up. The one who wasted her time. The guy she swore she hadn't spoken to in almost a year. Her thumb hovered over the message preview. Too late. Did he pay it? Just that. No hello. No context. Just a question that hit like a punch to the ribs. I felt the air change. You know that feeling when your stomach drops before your brain catches up? Like your body understands something you're not ready to. She locked her phone immediately. Who's Ryan texting this late? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Calm. Casual. I didn't want to be the insecure boyfriend. I didn't want to ruin the night we just toasted to her, fresh start. She laughed. Too quickly. Oh my God. He's so random. Probably drunk. I nodded, but my heart was starting to thud. Did he pay it? The wording kept looping in my head. Not, did you figure it out? Not, are you okay? Not, did it get handled? Did he pay it? Like it was a transaction. Like he was waiting on confirmation. She got up to grab water, taking her phone with her. I could hear the faint murmur of her voice from the kitchen. Not loud enough to catch words. Just tone. Urgent. Low. When she came back, she sat farther from me. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking. That exes are messy. That maybe he'd known about the debt from years ago. Maybe he was just being nosy. But then she wouldn't meet my eyes. And suddenly, the champagne didn't taste sweet anymore. I told myself not to spiral. I've never been the jealous type. I'm the guy who hands his phone over without thinking, who believes what he's told because I don't want to live like a detective in my own relationship. Trust is supposed to be simple. But she wouldn't sit close again. She kept her phone face down on the coffee table, screen angled away from me like it was radioactive. Every few seconds it vibrated. Not loud. Just enough to feel it through the wood. She ignored the first two. By the third, she grabbed it so fast she knocked over her glass. Sorry, she said, forcing a laugh. My sister. Her sister's name is Emily. I'd met her twice. The phone lit up again before she could lock it. Ryan. This time I saw more of the preview. Did he send it already? Something cold slid down my spine. I tried to stay neutral. You still talk to him? She sighed dramatically, like I'd asked something exhausting. Barely. He still owes me money from when we lived together. He probably thinks I'm suddenly rich or something. The explanation came too fast. Polished. Ready. Why would he think that? I asked. She hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. But it was there. I might have mentioned that I was getting help. When we were arguing last month. Arguing. Last month. I thought they hadn't spoken in a year. I felt stupid for even noticing the timeline. Wait, I said carefully. You told me you hadn't talked to him. She rolled her eyes. Marcus, it was nothing. He texted me out of nowhere and I told him to get lost. I didn't want to bring it up and make you weird about it. Make me weird about it. There it was. The preemptive blame. My chest tightened, but I swallowed it. I didn't want to fight. Not tonight. Not after what I'd just done for us. I'm not weird, I said quietly. I know, she replied quickly, touching my arm. You're perfect. Perfect. The word didn't land the same this time. Her phone buzzed again. She stood up immediately. Bathroom. The door clicked shut. This time I heard more than murmuring. I heard whispering. Fast. Pressed. A sharp inhale. Then. You promised. The words were faint, but unmistakable. My pulse started hammering in my ears. Promised what? I stared at the coffee table where my laptop sat open, the wire transfer confirmation still glowing on the screen. $18,742. All of it cleared. I'd emptied my savings. Every extra shift. Every weekend I stayed in instead of going out. Every plan I postponed. Because I thought we were building something. The bathroom door opened. She stepped out, smiling too wide. All good, she said. Her eyes were red. And I realized something that made my stomach twist harder than jealousy ever could. She didn't look relieved. She looked cornered. She sat back down, but not next to me. There was a careful distance now, like we were two coworkers sharing a bench instead of a couple who just toasted to a debt-free future. I couldn't take it anymore. What did you promise? I asked. She froze mid-reach for her glass. What? I heard you. In the bathroom. You said, you promised. Her face shifted. Not shocked. Not confused. Calculated. You were listening, she shot back. That told me everything. You were whispering, I said. My voice was steady, but my hands were cold. Why does your ex care whether I paid your debt? Why is he asking if I sent it already? She stared at me for a long second. I watched her decide. Then she exhaled, slow, like someone preparing to tell a half-truth. He lent me money, she said. The words landed like broken glass. What? Not recently. A while ago. When things got really bad. I didn't tell you because I was embarrassed. How much? I asked. She hesitated again. 10. 10 what? 10,000. My ears rang. So I just wired almost 19 grand, I said slowly, and 10 of that was money you owed your ex. It's not like that. Then what is it like? She ran her hands through her hair, pacing now. He helped me when no one else did. It was before you. I was desperate. He said I could pay him back whenever. And tonight? I pressed. Why does he need to know if I paid it? She looked at the floor. Because he was waiting. That's when it hit me. Was he going to forgive it? I asked quietly. Silence. Was he going to let it go if I didn't step in? Her jaw tightened. He said if I didn't pay him back soon, he'd tell you. Tell me what? She finally looked up. That we were still talking. The room tilted. Still talking how? Her voice dropped. He didn't take the breakup well. He kept reaching out. I tried to ignore him. But when he found out about the debt, he offered to help. And then he started holding it over me. I felt something crack inside my chest. So this wasn't just about money. She didn't answer. Did he pay part of the debt? I asked. Another silence. How much? I pushed. 5, she whispered. 5,000. My mind started rearranging timelines. Bonuses. Arguments. Late night, work calls. The times she'd seemed distracted when I said I loved her. Were you seeing him? I asked. No, she said instantly. Too instantly. Were you meeting him? She swallowed. That's not fair. Not fair. I stood up. So I just wired nearly $19,000, I said, my voice shaking now despite every effort to keep it calm, to clear a debt that includes money from your ex, who's been blackmailing you because you never actually cut him off. She opened her mouth. And that's when her phone buzzed again. This time, she didn't move fast enough to stop me. I picked it up. Ryan, tell him the truth. Or I will. My thumb hovered over the screen. She lunged for it, but I stepped back. Marcus, don't. I opened the thread. It wasn't just a handful of messages. It was months. Scrolling, I felt like I was watching someone else's life unfold. Inside jokes. Late night, you up, texts. Screenshots of our arguments forwarded to him. Her venting about me being too intense about the future. My stomach flipped. There were voice notes. Photos. Nothing explicit. But intimate. Familiar. A tone that didn't belong to someone she'd barely spoken to. Then I saw it. Ryan, if he pays it, we're square. Her, and you'll stop. Ryan, I'll disappear. Disappear. Like I was the obstacle. Like I was the mark. I looked up at her slowly. You negotiated with him, I said. It wasn't like that. You made a deal. Her eyes filled with tears. He wouldn't leave me alone. So your solution was to let me unknowingly pay him off. She shook her head. I was going to tell you. When? My voice cracked despite me trying to keep it controlled. After I wired the money. After he confirmed receipt. She covered her face. I didn't know what to do. You could have told me the truth. You would have left. That one stung because it was probably true. I scrolled further. There were meetups. Coffee. Twice. Closure, she'd labeled it in one message. Ryan, he's a good guy. Feels bad. Her, don't. Just let this end. End. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Did you sleep with him? I asked quietly. No, she said, and this time it didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded scared. I swear, no. I searched her face. For guilt. For a tell. What I saw instead was something worse. Relief. Relief that I hadn't asked something she couldn't deny. I set the phone down on the table between us. So the plan, I said slowly, was that I'd clear your debt, which included his 10 grand, and in exchange he'd stop threatening to tell me you were still emotionally tangled up with him. She didn't respond. That's extortion, I continued. And you let me walk straight into it. I didn't plan it like that, she whispered. But you didn't stop it either. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Suffocating. I looked at the laptop screen again. The wire confirmation. Processed. Completed. Irreversible. You used me, I said. Her head snapped up. No. I love you. The words felt thin now. Fragile. If you loved me, I said, you would have trusted me with the truth. Not with your bank routing number. She flinched. That was the moment I realized something else. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. Ryan had controlled her with debt. And she had controlled me with a future. And somewhere in the middle, I'd confused being needed with being loved. Her phone buzzed again on the table. Ryan, did he see it? I stared at the screen. Then I picked up the phone. And started typing. My hands were shaking, but not in that panicked, out-of-control way. It was colder than that. Focused. I typed back from her phone. Yes. He saw it. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Ryan, finally. Ryan, took you long enough. My jaw tightened. I kept going. He's sitting right here. The typing bubble disappeared. Then came the call. Her phone started vibrating in my hand. His name flashing across the screen like a dare. She whispered, "Don't." I answered. I didn't say hello. There was a beat of silence. Then a low chuckle. "So," he said. "Guess you're the generous one." His voice was calm. Amused. Like we were two guys discussing a business deal over drinks. "Did you get your money?" I asked. "All of it," he replied. "Appreciate the assist." Assist. I glanced at her. She looked pale, like she might pass out. "You threatened her," I said. He laughed softly. "Threatened is a strong word. I just don't like being owed." "You told her you'd disappear." "I will." "Why?" Another pause. "Because she always circles back," he said. "They all do." Something snapped in me at that. "You're not special," he continued. "You're just the upgrade she needed to settle accounts. Don't take it personal." I felt heat surge through my chest, but I forced myself to stay steady. "You think this is about ego?" "I think," he said evenly, "that if she was really done with me, she wouldn't have answered my calls." The silence in my living room was louder than his voice. I looked at her. She couldn't meet my eyes. "Put her on," he said. "No," I replied. A small exhale on the other end. Almost disappointed. "Doesn't matter," he said. "Money cleared. I'm out." The line went dead. I stood there for a second, phone still pressed to my ear even though the call had ended. Then I lowered it slowly. She started crying. Not dramatic sobbing. Just quiet, broken breaths. "I was scared," she said. "He knows how to push me. He knows what to say. And I don't." I asked. She looked up at me, mascara streaking again like earlier, but it didn't hit the same. This time it felt like déjà vu. Like I'd seen this exact scene play out before, just with different lighting. "I love you," she said again. I believed that she believed it. That was the problem. Love shouldn't feel like leverage. "You let him measure me," I said quietly. "You let him turn our relationship into a payout." "I didn't mean to." "But you did." The room felt smaller. The future we'd talked about, moving in together, maybe a ring next year, suddenly felt like a script I'd read but never actually lived. "I can fix this," she whispered. I looked at the laptop one more time. $18,742. Gone. Savings wiped. Trust worse. "You can't fix this tonight," I said. And for the first time since the notification lit up her screen, I felt something settle inside me. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Clarity. I grabbed my jacket. She stood up fast. "Where are you going?" I paused at the door. And realized I wasn't walking out because of him. I was walking out because of her. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I just stepped out into the hallway and let it close behind me with a quiet click that somehow felt louder than any fight we could have had. The air outside was cold, sharp enough to sting my lungs. I stood there for a minute staring at nothing, replaying everything in my head, the tears, the promises, the way she'd called me her miracle just hours earlier. Miracles aren't supposed to come with invoices. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Her name. I let it ring once. Twice. Then I answered. "Please don't do this," she said immediately. Her voice sounded small now, stripped of performance. "We can work through this. It was a mistake." I panicked. "You didn't panic," I said calmly. "You strategized." Silence. "I was trying to protect us," she whispered. "No," I replied. "You were trying to protect yourself." That was the difference. If she had come to me months ago and said, "I messed up. I'm still tangled with him. I owe him money and I'm ashamed," I would have fought for her. I would have stood next to her and figured it out together. But she didn't give me that choice. She handed me a bill and called it love. I don't care about the money, I continued, even though that wasn't completely true. I care that you decided I was a resource instead of a partner. Her breathing hitched. You think I used you? I know you did. The words didn't feel dramatic. They felt clean. Final. Another long pause. Are you breaking up with me? She asked. That question hurt more than everything else. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did. I can't build a future on a negotiation, I said. And that's what this was. She started crying again, but softer this time. Less frantic. Almost resigned. I never loved him the way I love you, she said. I'm not competing, I replied. That was the truth I'd finally reached. It was never about whether she loved me more. It was about whether she respected me enough to be honest. And she hadn't. We stayed on the phone for another minute, neither of us saying much. There wasn't anything left to explain. The facts were simple. The trust was fractured. And love, no matter how sincere it felt, wasn't enough to glue that back together overnight. I hope you figure your stuff out, I said finally. Then I hung up. I stood there in the cold a little longer, feeling the weight of the loss, not just of her, but of the version of the future I'd already started picturing. $18,742. That number would sting for a while. But you know what would have cost more? Staying. Believing that being needed was the same as being valued. Eventually I walked down the stairs, out into the night, and toward my car. For the first time all evening, my phone didn't buzz. And for the first time in months, neither did my gut. It was quiet. And somehow, that felt like getting something back.